at the level of the High Council of Burkina Faso to encourage them to return and invest in Burkina Faso, their homeland. We are opening our doors to them and will put all the necessary mechanisms in place so that they can return and invest in a secure manner. At the confederal level, Burkina Faso continues to contribute within our shared space, which is the AES. 2025 was a year when we were entrusted with the dual responsibility of leading the destiny of the Confederation. We have taken on this responsibility and we have promised to ensure that the AES shines throughout the world. And we will keep our word, and for this, we ask all of Burkina Faso to ensure that this mission entrusted to us can be carried out successfully. We will continue our efforts of cooperation and friendship with all states, as I have said, who respect our sovereignty, and to ensure that the interests of the people take precedence over political interests. Comrades in the fight for freedom, I would like to congratulate all those involved, whether from the fields of education, agriculture, infrastructure, or the economy. Healthcare workers, a valiant fighting force for all the efforts made throughout the year 2025. To keep giving it their all, as we like to say, to sacrifice themselves, to devote themselves body and soul for the happiness of our people. Because the only thing that matters to us is the happiness of our people. Every member of the administration must keep this in mind and ensure that their daily actions truly contribute to the advancement of our homeland. To all those who communicate, who fight imperialism through communication, I congratulate them and encourage them to redouble their efforts. Because all imperialist wars begin first with communication, and during wars, communication makes the difference in battles. Communication is an essential link, a critical link for the success of operations. Continue your communication efforts. Continue your efforts to ensure that their disinformation cannot reach our people. I congratulate you because you have made a lot of effort recently, proving to everyone that Burkina Faso is standing tall. And when I speak of communication actors, I mean the world of the press, whether private or public, and all those who work through social media to present a positive image of Burkina Faso. I also thank all those who took their time, who came from abroad to Burkina Faso to see the realities of Burkina Faso for themselves and who were able to share them through their channels. To make these deceitful media understand that what they say about our homeland is completely false. Continue in this direction because I say it and I insist, communication is a crucial link in the success of our struggle. Past revolutions did not succeed, and we know the reasons why. But we will make sure that this revolution succeeds for the well-being of our people. Burkina Faso is intrinsically revolutionary. That is why the entire population must get involved to ensure that the communication, misinformation, and disinformation of imperialism do not get through. For all those who are still skeptical, who do not believe in this momentum, I invite them to take a look in the rearview mirror. In the past, just a few years ago, what was Burkina Faso like? To make a better assessment and see exactly what has been accomplished over these 3 years and join the movement. We do not want to exclude anyone, but as we have said, if someone closes their eyes and refuses to see the sun, we have no choice but to let them go their own way. We will move forward, we will continue, we will pursue our struggle. Burkina Faso will prevail. Terrorism will be a thing of the past. And we will make sure that the face of Burkina Faso, as it is known today, in 5 years, will be unrecognizable. Of course, the change will be positive and we must do it for our children, for future generations. And this fight is indeed possible and it is already won. I invite everyone to redouble their efforts so that 2026 will be better than 2025. Long live Burkina Faso, long live our free, dignified, upright and prosperous homeland, good and happy. The year 2026. Homeland or death, we shall overcome. Forces de sécurité intérieure qui veillent jour et nuit pour que notre patrie reste et demeure debout. Je prie pour le repos des âmes de tous ceux qui ont perdu la vie dans ce combat contre cette barbarie. Et également, je souhaite prompt rétablissement à tous ceux qui ont été blessés physiquement, mentalement.
In this war, Do-Mil-VNGT-Sync was one where many projects have started. Talking about the defense and security sector, this sector that interests us so much in this fight. a lot of effort has been made in the recruitment of personnel. At the level of the different forces, also, several formations have been initiated within our own armies, endogenously, which has created many specific units who do one job. Remarkable in terms of equipment, there was the arrival during the year 2025, a lot of heavy equipment, but also strategic equipment that we did not want to present. This equipment will continue, and the strengthening will also continue during the year 2026, and the war will continue to intensify, and our army will continue to grow. Several operations have taken place. In the theater of operations, we mainly remember one bold operation, which was launched 2 months ago. The operation that was named the Almasca, in French Wall of Ice. This operation, vigorous, has enabled our fighting forces to land in the sanctuaries of the enemy, where for 5-6 years, we thought it was impossible to reach. Our units have set up and reconquered these zones. These operations have allowed the reconquest of several dozen villages through the region. So from the Kambi, did not say, especially around the Kampianga Dam, going up through the Mongu and the Guliman, by passing through Zigregor in the Kulsas, but also the Nemsidia area. Around Guebo is all done between Guebo and Taitao. These operations were carried out with the greatest boldness, and the enemy was crushed on the passage of our fighting forces, who have settled there and continue their progression as we go along. Operations will continue to the limit of our borders to defeat this hydro-terrorist who finds the acuity of Burkinabe. The army will continue to grow in strength. The internal security effort as well. There will be one small change, which will allow the VDP to project itself further forward, to support other forces. This conflict situation also made that we have displaced persons, interns who are still waiting to join their village. The reconquest continues certainly. But in terms of humanitarian action, we have undertaken one number of steps during the year 2025, including the construction of shelters. Sorry for those who are welcomed in some villages, but for those who are reinstalled, we have put a lot of effort into it by rebuilding schools, by drilling, by developing land, and to be able to reinstall them, and that they can live with dignity upon return to their respective villages. We will continue this trend because we do not want our populations returning to their villages remain in the assistant. We want it to be able to contribute, that it can produce and be able to live with dignity. That's why the Ministry of Humanitarian Action is based on the different ministries to be able to accompany all these initial internal displaced persons, return to their village, to be able to settle down and therefore have something to do, work in their respective villages. This dynamic will continue for some time. More than many villages are being reconquered at the very moment when I speak. Each villager who resettles must be able to work and feed himself. Talking about the health field, several efforts have been made. These include, and therefore, the construction of joint medical centers, which were born in 2025, and this dynamic will continue. Some are in the final stages, but others are so at the beginning of construction. The equipment of these centers will enhance, therefore, the level of care supply at the level of our populations. For existing centers, the technical tray has been improved in laboratory terms. In terms of imaging, these care offers will continue to improve for the benefit of our population, but also to the benefit, therefore, of the populations of our neighboring countries. The number of patients from neighboring countries has therefore experienced considerable during the year 2025, mainly due to our policy. Downward revision of the health benefit burden. We will continue in this dynamic during the year 2026, with a break also of stones from 9 health centers, like the health centers of Pala. All these infrastructures will therefore have a start during the year 2026. In the field of education, several projects have taken place, including mutation and modernization of our virtual structures of construction that will now go to height. And so there is one project. So that do-mil-vingt-6 is the implementation of this type of education center throughout the year and throughout the country. You know that we are in one mutation to amend one little the effect of general education and focus on teaching, technical and professional. This mutation is in progress. Many high schools, techniques and professionals will see the light of day, very well equipped to meet development needs of our homeland on the side of our students. Many university centers will be created. So during the year 2026, but already in 2026, we have started block construction. A number of amphitheaters and buildings. Some are in the final stages, and others will end up in 2026. We will continue this dynamic to allow all university centers, to all universities, to be able to study in a dignified manner, and also the modernization of the internet. And Christian education will continue, because we have just acquired, so one certain number of servers for the benefit only, universities, so that students can have online libraries, and this dynamic will continue. Laboratories will continue to grow, and we will give one space, our students to take theoretical courses, but also to practice and express yourself, so that little by little their education passes from theoretical to practical education, for production for the benefit of our populations. In the field of infrastructure, a lot of effort has been made. During the year 2025, as you know, 4 regions benefited from their road construction project, other specific earthworks equipment, and also bitumen have arrived. And during the year 2026, please God, 4 other regions at the beginning of the year will be equipped with road construction equipment, and this will be the effective beginning construction of a number of roads, national and departmental. In addition to the other routes that are programmed, we want to go at a steady pace, which requires us to equip all regions before we can project ourselves efficiently. As was the case with the launch of the buildings work, we have chosen to change the urban planning model. The state will take into account the construction of our cities. Today, the construction of our cities is one, because what we live, the health problem, is due to the fact that there is no sanitation in our cities. The spaces are too big, and we chose to build in height. Major projects in this field of urbanization. At the concentration, the population, to exploit the space and be able to clean up, so that our populations can live with dignity and very good health. In centers, fairly clean environment and health side. In the mining sector, GT-Sync has undergone major innovations for us to ensure that we appropriate our resources, mining what led the state to first appropriate a number of mines by acquiring with certain partners, but also by exploiting the mines. So industrial that it is not mechanized through the creation of the Sopenheim. Also the golden releases, uncontrolled, so one significant drop. Through the creation of the SONASP, which allowed to have one control, both on their traditional mulch, then on industrial operations, and therefore of our mineral resources, the energy sector will also experience one mutation in 2026 through the creation of an initiative, one initiative that will have access to water and energy, to allow our populations to benefit from drinking water wherever they are, and also to benefit electricity to be able to go to their business. In this sense, we have started in 2025 one number of projects to increase energy supply and also be independent to reduce energy imports. Oh, Burkina Faso, dear brothers and sisters, dear parents, in terms of agriculture and livestock, we have assigned, therefore, objectives at the Ministry of Agriculture, and by the grace of God, the oldest woman was good, and we have exceeded the targets for several. Speculation and other, well expected. Food self-sufficiency, which is one everyday fight that we lead. We can say today, we have achieved food self-sufficiency. During the year 2025, we will continue the efforts in the agricultural sector, in particular by buying up machines, both for plowing and harvesting, by doing free plowing, heavily subsidized for the benefit of our populations, by subsidizing intruders, and also by providing them quality seeds produced by our researchers. A lot of land is being recovered by our fighting forces. We will quickly get to the task from the beginning of the year in the development of these lands to allow these populations that are resettling to be able to exploit in a serene their land and increase our productions. In the same sense, we encourage all those who are in the transformation on both small and large scales to continue the efforts, and all those who intend to come in sector to quickly thrive, because production will continue to increase. We also created the UMBA so that water retention can be done in each village, so there will be no more question to grow after a single season. But we hope to cultivate 2 or 3 times during the year. Far below is gaining momentum. And by then, in every village, we hope to have 1 water reservoir to enable young people to live their profession as farmers, their breeding trade. Many vaccinations have had take place during the year. 2025, mostly free, for others with heavy subsidies, which allowed, therefore, to preserve from the 1.000 of goat, cattle, poultry. Fish farming is gaining momentum with the floating cages, which are installed almost everywhere on our dams, which is one very good experiment, which increased production. Burkina Faso fish farm, and we hope that 2026 can be 1 year, during which we will be enough tools to achieve self-sufficiency and stop intense little fish import, freshwater in Burkina Faso. Efforts will continue, also in the livestock sector, by making sure that in pure stabulation, breeders can benefit, therefore of forage cultivation, and also through the face of the go-go, benefit from quality food that will be produced and controlled by our researchers. All this contributes to achieve food self-sufficiency, but also to participate in the processing of our raw materials and in view of an export to some friendly countries who would like to obtain supplies in Burkina Faso. Comrade, in the field of economics, do-mil-ving prolific for Burkina Faso 1 year. I can say in macroeconomics without making a mistake that our economy is doing very well. As a testimony, when we do the test to go to the regional market to raise funds, we are always beyond what we hope, which proves confidence. Operators and some African donors. Burkina Faso, we will continue the efforts, both in the area of taxation, of the customs, but also the digitization of operations, to reduce the risk of fraud in terms of our economy. It is in this sense that from January, it will be launched normally, the certified electronic invoice, which must allow to the trade of power to be made. Sans corruption, and this will further increase government revenues and power, conduct one healthy trade for the benefit of our populations. We will continue efforts in the fields of the economy through a healthy economy, which must allow that investments are and continue to reduce operating expenses at the level of administration, efforts made in agriculture, at the level of la defense, and in all infrastructure sectors, in particular by taking into account of our infrastructures ourselves, allow for a great deal of economies of scale. In the field of energy and water, the initiatives that will come must allow also to make economies of scale and to be able to invest in the sectors. All this must allow the economy, Burkinabe, to make one advance, significant. In addition to that, the resources that we will exploit by ourselves now must allow in 2026 to make a significant gain in GDP, so that Burkina Faso can, in one period of time, become an emerging economy around the world. In the field, and therefore in the field of culture, we continue our efforts so that we gradually return to our values, to our roots. There is only by this way that we can affirm and develop our nation. I say this because going back to education, technical and professional, and by combining this with our values, our endogenous knowledge, we can create and innovate from what exists and be able to stop one time or little the imports of a number of products in Burkina Faso. There is a lot of endogenous knowledge that allow to transform already. Our raw materials just add science so that it can help us. And culture makes go of all this and participates actively to the development of our nation. On our indigenous values, we will emphasize at the level of our schools and at a very young age, because the Burkinabe, the man, has values that were bequeathed to us by our ancestors. Values of honesty, integrity values, values of dignity, and values of patriotism. And all this can be taught through culture, also at the level of toddlers. For us to build Burkinabes of tomorrow, many cultural events took place in 2025, but also 2026. Many cultural events will take place, and there are big projects in the field of culture. But all this, as I said, must have access to our ancestral values. Indigenous, that should make it possible to create new Burkinabes based on our own values. All this must make a difference with Burkina. Be that wanted to build well. Oh, Burkina Faso, the new Burkina Faso must be someone who got rid of all corruption and who must put the country ahead of everything it does. It is in this sense that we can defeat this terrorism, which also threatens us today, but also be able to develop ways consistent with everything we produce here, and be able to be a powerful and emerging nation. Also, many industrial units have been created, especially in the transformation of our raw materials, and many of these units were accompanied by the state through the Burkinabe Development Fund, economic and social, but also state-owned banks. Do-mil-VINGT-6 will also much be more important because we have many industrial units that will be ready during the year 2026. But also, as you can see, we have provided funding to certain private individuals through institutions and some national funds to accompany them to the creation of an industrial unit that must transform our raw materials. Essentially, we have merged the funds into 4 large funds that must assist all those who want to undertake and have one minimum in the field mainly of transformation and also agriculture. These areas are very important to us because it is in producing and transforming what we produce that we can become one powerful nation. And therefore, the state, by transforming its funds, wants to have one important step to be able to help all those who are private and also national state-owned companies that must emerge in 2026 so that this transformation of our raw materials, or one reality, also the cotton industry, which was once exported raw, the first industrial unit will be ready in 2026, and we will continue with others. Industrial units to transform our cotton. That said, all that is the first material we produce. We will try as much as possible. Evacuation of industrial units, pour la transformation, and do-mil-ving-6 where we will have 1 year, one important budget to inject at the fund level to help all those who have projects in this area. In the field of sport, we have invested a lot through the National Office of Major Projects, also through the ministry. During the year 2025, one stadium is under construction at Bobo Dioulasso, and which must end at the beginning 2026. But also through all regions, we intend to create spaces to enable young people, firstly to do sports, to stay healthy, to ensure that our youth is not idle. It contributes to physical health, mental, but also to youth productivity in our nation. We will continue the efforts and develop all types of sports that can be developed in Burkina Faso and who can ensure that youth are cohesive. Perfect. To all the teams representing Burkina Faso outside in competitions, international, we wish them every success for 2026. And particularly the stallions that today defend the national colors, we wish them every success. Until the final victory, fellow fighters. The field of justice is one area that is close to our hearts. No nation can develop in injustice. Injustice creates tensions and conflicts. Therefore, rights problems within the society. That's why we have tackled these phenomena, and we have totally restructured justice. During the year 2025, this restructuring will continue through the new CSM format, replacing non-magistrates, but we also want to totally transform how to do justice. And all this I was talking about culture at one time. We have decided to incorporate our values, endogenous conflict management, within the justice system. This is what made it possible to take texts to integrate traditional justice, that is, the traditional settlement of our conflicts. We have to go back to the sources too. In this area of justice, we cannot import one justice and enforce it and hope have social cohesion, thus integrating our ancestral values and integrating the resource people. For the resolution of certain conflicts, we believe that we can create one reliable social cohesion space. In 2026, we will implement physical ways in the field these different courts in order to regulate most out-of-court questions. Also, we initiated in 2025 the fact that the prisoners can leave, participate in the construction of the country. It was only an initiative in 2026. We will make sure that all the prisoners may experience one reconversion. Instead of sleeping in prison, we will make sure that he can participate, learn from work and aid into society. This new way of seeing justice allows no one to stay on. All those who want to building the country will have their words to say. Whether you are free or in detention, we will make sure that you can participate in the construction of the country, buy back and come back in society. Efforts will continue at the level of justice in the digitization also of all the acts, so that do not have to travel necessarily to the courts, which are generally found in urban centers, and that they can stay from where they are to be able to have access to fair justice and all documents. Therefore, that justice can deliver. Talking about digitization, it is one sector that is close to our hearts, because no fight against corruption is possible without digitization. We made one huge step, but much remains to be done. We have one program for the next 5 years, where we have to leave one precarious situation to be one model. Burkina Faso has already been able to acquire its first servers, data centers, and large data centers are under construction, which will allow our engineers to design applications without fear and to be able to host them on site. Before we imported applications that we do not master, but today, most services within the administration are being dematerialized. And all this, it is thanks to our computer engineers who do a remarkable job. Poor Q, the user no longer has to move to the services to necessarily have access of his position. He can quietly have access to certain services. In addition to all this, we are in the process of setting up citizens' houses, and the constructions will start in 2026. These houses will be installed in many provincial capitals, but we will also go to the department to make it lucky that does not master the computer tool can go to his house, find Burkinabes who will help them access to all services through the platforms that will be installed on machines in his house. This digitization will continue, and the modernization of the administration as well will continue to allow us to fight effectively against fraud and all abuse that may exist within the administration. Dear brothers and sisters, dear parents, you have seen that during the year 2025, so we had to do the States General at the level of the territorial administration. These States General have therefore led to conclusions that we have exploited and also given one vision, which led to amend the Territorial Community Code. This code has been modified to allow us to have one new architecture. Certainly the regional redrawing has evolved, but the function of a territorial community must also evolve, because the development will not be not only in cities. Development must start from the villages, and for that we had to touch on code. We will install SDPs with fairly clear missions that will be evaluated and monitored by the prefects, so that all that we have for vision in development, as I mentioned earlier, can start at the village level, involve all villagers, and they will be rated and evaluated according to what they will do in the different communities. This is what mainly led to the change. So this code and 2026 will be the year in which we will implement, really in the field, This new community code, at the level of the territorial administration, many things have noted in the sense that deconcentrated administration was not administered effectively to understand who exactly is in his position. Lack of human resources made sure that there was one big loss to win. We made one evaluation in the year 2025, and we realized that many fictional officials existed where duplicates existed. Recruitment. Recently during the year 2025, of many, therefore, of human resources personnel must allow to send them to the regional level, poor, to ensure that any agent who is assigned must be able to work and control from the region. And there at the national level, we have the assurance that the service for which it was sent is returned to the people at the given time. This modernization will continue because it must be accompanied by a digitization. On the diplomatic side, Burkina Faso Department. Burkina Faso turned on one light, and this light must remain on forever. We shine through the world, and our diplomacy is very active. Changes will certainly take place to reorganize the device, diplomacy around the world, because Jose imposes it on us. And this reorganization has already started in 2025 with one certain number of adjustments in the treatment, therefore diplomats. But the spatial reorganization around the world will take place in 2026. We will redirect our diplomacy according to current geos, who lives our country. The Faso button is one open country for all winning partners, respectful of our sovereignty, of our freedom and dignity. But Burkina Faso will not allow anyone to do so. No power to be able to impose on us what she wants. That's why we have to continue everywhere we are to ensure that the flag of Burkina Faso floats with dignity, and this to address the diaspora, whom I congratulate for his patriotic acts, that continues to make people shine. The image of Burkina Faso outside, to continue to remain patriotic and authentic, because when we talk about Burkina B, we must hear the man, the worthy man, and this is what we want in the diaspora.
Thank you, Africa, Mama Africa. Oh, yeah. You make Africa great. Thank you, Africa. Thank you, Africa.